Hi all. Today I decided to do two videos since I haven't done one in a while. Today I'm going to discuss experience. Okay, so what is experience? Experience says that you have done something in the past. And when people, employers in particular, hire another person for a particular job, they always stress the importance of experience. Wow. Where do I begin? You would be a complete and utter fool if you put experience as the number one criteria for hiring somebody. In fact, for most hires, I don't care whether it's chairman of the board, CEO, CFO, whatever else, experience should be the last thing you should look for, if not completely ignore the damn thing. Now, most of you are going, now, why would I do that? Well, because experience doesn't mean very much. It depends on what kind of lens you filter it through that gives you the power of wisdom or not wisdom, smarts or not smarts, good perspective or bad perspective. And it gives you the ability to make good judgment calls or bad judgment calls. Ultimately, you have to ask yourself this question. Once a person gets up to speed, which person should perform better? Which person should outperform everybody else? Now, once you get up to speed means your experience no longer matters. Your background in whatever you did does not matter anymore. What matters is, can you make good decisions? Do you know how to problem solve? Do you know what is the right path, what is the wrong path, what is good for your employees, your customers, your co-workers, ultimately your boss also, and people that report to you and work for you. These are the things that really matter. Can the individual make the best judgment call under stress and duress and know how to get around problems and situations? And most people will say, well, these are, problems and situations should have been already incurred by other people doing the same job somewhere else, and that's why experience counts. Bull freaking crap. Every company is different. Every company has a different culture. Every company has a different history on how they got to be where they are. Every company has a different and very varied set of customers that make it almost impossible to say, well, because it worked in company A, it should work in company B. Not always, not necessarily. And if you're smart enough, you don't need the experience to tell you that. You should know. This has been made very obvious to me while I was an analyst on Wall Street for 20 years. I've met just an enormous number of CEOs and CFOs. And yes, most of the good CEOs and CFOs have come from within the organization and have been there a long time. But when you look at some of the CEOs and CFOs that have been there in those companies, wow, some of the dumbest have come from within the organization or have come from outside the organization and have just either crushed it or killed it, and their background and experience had nothing to do with it. And I'm going to give you two examples. One is a Goldman Sachs investment banker. Well, actually, both of them are Goldman Sachs investment bankers, ex. One of them came on board, actually, both of them came on board as CFOs of a company. They both ended up becoming CEO, and one crushed it while the other one basically drowned the company to death. Same background, similar educational background, but the difference is that one had good judgment, the other one didn't. One knew how to play politics exceptionally well and nothing but, while the other one also played politics exceptionally well, but they knew other skills, they had other skills and knew other things, none of which had related to necessarily their experiences at Goldman Sachs Investment Banking. My case is another one. If I had $1 for every time somebody said, well, you don't have any experience in this position, wow, I'd probably be a billionaire by now. But the thing is, every time somebody takes the risk to hire me, they always say, wow, you're the best hire I've ever made. Gee, I wonder why. I never had experience doing this job before. But how is it that I'm one of the best hires you've ever had? And they will typically laugh and say, well, I don't know, because you're a smart guy. Yes, that is the right answer. It is because I'm a smart guy. It is because I know how to think. It is because I know how to problem solve. It is because I have good judgment. I'm wise in that sense. And it's because if I don't know something, I won't give up until I do know. And I will dig, and I will learn. So once I'm up to speed, and usually it doesn't take me more than a month to 3 months to get up to speed on anything that I've never done before, I usually kick ass. Yeah. So stop looking for experienced hires. If you truly want to distinguish yourself, look for people that know how to make decisions, that are smart, that are hardworking, that dig when they don't know. People who ask the right questions, who are not afraid to ask the right questions. Believe it or not, there are people who are afraid to ask questions because they don't want to sound stupid. And that is being in and of itself stupid. But if you find people like that, wow, unbelievable. You'll get some phenomenal results. I'll give you one example as a case. One of my associates, Emily, whose last name I shall not reveal, probably was one of the best hires I've ever made in my entire life. But the thing is, I almost didn't hire her because I almost threw her resume away. Here's what happened. She sent me a resume and I looked at it, and she had no background in math, no background in economics, no background in science per se. I think she was an English history major or English literature major or something like that. And the only thing that caught my eye was that she was from Princeton. What also caught my eye was that she had done one job for 6 months, another one for 9 months, and another one for a year and a half, and she left all on her own volition, or so it seemed. And so I was like, what the hell? This must be a joke. So I crumpled the resume. I was about to throw it away when I said, hold on a second. And then I noticed something. She went from being an intern to the equivalent level of a managing director in under a year and a half for an organization she had no business belonging to as an art history major or whatever history major. And I said to myself, wow, holy smackaloni, how did this happen? Very curious. So I called her up and I said, hey, this is Lasan Zhang. You sent me your resume. May I ask you a few questions? And she goes, who are you? And I said, Lasan Zhang, you sent me a resume applying to the job that I'm trying to fill. And she goes, hold on a second. I can't seem to recollect off the top of my head. And I was like, oh, this is a bad sign. So then she goes, I'm sorry, can I put you on hold for a second? So she did, and she must be going through a computer files or something. I don't know what it was. And then she finally found the letter, the resume she sent me on email. And she comes back on the phone. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. Sorry, I was not expecting a call from you because I've never been called before. And I said to myself, how many did she send out? So I actually asked her, so how many resumes did you send out? And she goes, oh, about 200. And I said, really? And nobody's called you? And she said, yes, you're the first. And I said, oh. So I started asking her some questions about her background. And then I invited her in for an interview. I have to say, she was probably one of the most impressive people I've ever met. And I've met some freaking impressive people in my lifetime. And I was like, wow, this is the one I want. No question. It turns out that she had an eidetic memory. and she had a genius IQ. But that aside, most people who have that kind of feature tend to be very lazy or, don't work very hard and rely on their genius and eidetic memory to get by. But this young lady, she worked her ass off. And she asked all the right questions. She was never afraid to ask a good question, a bad question sometimes. She learned extremely quickly. And she started contributing almost inside of, I would say, 3 months. And after that, she was ranked either number 1, number 2, or number 3 top associate in my organization. Think about that. No experience, no background in economics, no background in math. But within 3 to 6 months of joining the firm, she was ranked either 1, 2, or 3 for the rest of her career in the associate level position. And oh, by the way, my other associate was always competing for 1, 2, or 3 with her. So what does it tell you? Experience doesn't matter dick. And anybody who stresses experience is an imbecile who does not know who they're hiring and why they're hiring. Or they're lazy because they want somebody who can do something hitting the rubber on the road immediately. But that is just a short-term gain that's not going to last. You always want to ask your question this way. Who, after they gain up to speed, is going to be the best performer? That's the number one question you want to ask. Now, obviously, if it takes 5 years to get up to speed, that's no good either. But something within 3 to 6 months, oh, absolutely. Because they're going to be there for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. It makes a difference who you hire. And if you know how to ask the right questions, you know who you're going to want to hire. And when you do hire that person who's been rejected a million times over, they become extremely loyal to you, and they become extremely grateful and extremely good workers. And this woman, Emily, stayed with me for, I believe it was close to 3 or 4 years, and she shined and outperformed. And she was one of the best hires that organization had ever seen. And she was eventually promoted to a senior analyst, and it was well-deserved. So experience, screw that. Look for the right person. If you like my video, please subscribe. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.